So I owe the Olam stories about Yeshua Noivert. Of Yeshua Noivert, not everyone knows about him. They know about his book, his incredible sefer called Shmir Shabbos Kirchasa. Shmir Shabbos Kirchasa in Tafshin Chafei many years ago, when it came out, sold hundreds and over the years thousands of copies. It became really the staple of keeping Shabbos. And many of the Gdolei Poskim, many of the great Poskim would quote this sefer. It was written by such a humble person, and in truth, I think that's the secret. Rabbi Yeshua Noivert was a student of Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. He accepted his role as being the student of Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, and he lived with incredible humility. This week's parasha speaks about Parah Aduma, about a person sacrificing his own purity in order to purify someone else. Someone who accepts and is willing to lower himself in order to help someone else. When you lower yourself, when you're willing to accept things, then you could change the world. Rabbi Yeshua Noivert was someone that they say someone was once going to visit. He was visiting, I think it was called the kibbutz or the kfar Eitz Chaim. I forgot exactly which way it was. Anyway, he shows up in the base midrash and he decides to go and learn. So he's sitting, and right behind him there's an old man sitting and learning the Mishnah Berurah, and he was just mesmerized. Every word was being sung with such a special tune, and he had to find out who this person is. And they told him this was of Yeshua Noivert. And I once heard the background to this is that when he was running away from the Nazis, so he had with him nothing almost. The only thing that he had was, I think, Chelek Gimel of the third part of the Mishnah Berurah. And that's what he learned, I think, for weeks, maybe even months, until he got to Eretz Yisrael. He knew every word by heart. And sometimes a person could say, oh, I'm stuck. I'm on a ship. All I have is one Chelek of the Mishnah Berurah. But that ends up being your mission in life. So many times something happens to us and we look at it and the challenge is this. It seems too big. And really that challenge is calling out for that little mission or big mission that Hashem is sending us. So we could certainly learn that from Yeshua Noivert, Zichrono Livracha. There's one more story, how his humility was incredible, that he ran a kupa, a charity fund, but he was a yekeh, real yekeh, and he had rules. And if someone showed up, a poor person showed up, and it wasn't a very clear sign by maybe, 5 or 6 rabbis that this person really is entitled to get charity, he would not give charity. He would be very, very careful. Once a lady showed up, and she had a crumbled piece of paper, and sometimes it wasn't clear. It probably looked like 10 years old. Anyway, she said, I want tzedakah. So he said, I'm so sorry, I can't give you. The people that give me money know that I have all these conditions. Well, she didn't take those words, and she started screaming. He finally, after a few minutes of screaming and cursing, so he went to his own room, came back with 100 shekels. He said, this is for my money. For my money I could give you. But the money that's here, I can't. She said, no, I want green. I want dolarim. And she started screaming and cursing. And finally, the people that were there, that were helping out, and actually doing shimush by the Rav, were ready to pick her up and throw her out. And he said, no. And he just went over to the window, calmed, so to speak, got himself together, and just waited until she finished cursing. In fact, at some point, the Rabbanit, his wife, the Rebbetzin, came in and signaled to her, come here, I want to tell you something, I want to give you something. And then Rav Noivert said, and he turned to me and said, you didn't think that this is part of the shimush. This is part of what Rabbanim have to accept. But Rav Shur Noivert understood, this is part of it. And that was a secret to greatness. So Allah, we should be zeichet to live a little bit like Rav Shur Noivert. Hatzach, have an amazing day.